Hey folks, Alex Kress from Blue Mill Gaming here. I'm excited to recap my run this weekend at the Mesa Sector Qualifier. I was able to finish 25th out of 342 players, which was amazing. I had a fantastic weekend overall, and I'm excited to go over my run, the highs, the lows, and also, most importantly, cover the lessons learned from the weekend. So let's get into it. All right, so this is my run on Melee, and we'll go through it round by round a little bit. Starting out, I played in round 1 a Hantu ECL. Nomad, I think his name was Andrew. Apologize if I got that wrong, but it was a long day. But yeah, starting out round 1, I'll tell you folks, I had no easy wins all day. Like every opponent was solid, every matchup was solid. And yeah, in game 1, I actually miscalculated the math and thought he was off by 1 with ECL record, but he had exactly lethal. Went to game 2 and 3, sideboarded, and won that one 2-1, thankfully. So I started off strong, 1-0. Then in round 2, I played Travis, the Crafty Snuggler. I love that name, on Gar ECL. And yeah, I think it just drew him on my entrenched, basically, and he didn't see what he needed to see. Like in game 2, after he puts Item Pilot on an Infernal 4, I put down entrenched. And then he confiscates it, and I double entrenched him. I slam the second entrench. Probably a little too hasty, but I was just excited to have 2 entrenched in hand, which really saved me from a rough start, 'cause I only had an Owen after Mulligan. So won that one, and I'm 2-0. And then going into round 3, got to be on stream, on the McClunky stream. If y'all didn't catch that, I played Max from the Fallen Order team. Shout out to their team, who did a great showing this weekend. Yeah, on Highway Tarkin Town, and then I got all the Tarkin Town decks. This is probably the one I prefer to play against, because if I have turn 1 Grogu and they don't have Daring Raid, I'm just very, very favored at that point. It's not game over, but like it's really, really tough for Sabe, because I just kill spies, I kill all the weenies in space. So I have to rewatch our stream match still. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. You know, I got Grogu, I think, in the 2 wins. The one loss, I was definitely a questionable keep. I had Nemec and Chirrut, 2 cards I really want to see, but didn't really think through that like Chirrut on turn 2 is not a great place since this gets Tarkin Town. So I had the Aggressive Negotiations instead, and lost that game. And I'll say it a hot start with a double 1 drop into Falcon. So, but again, game 3 was just really rough start for Max. He only had Leia into my Grogu. That was just a really rough one. So I got that one 2-1. 3-0 start, feeling great. Then round 4, I played Bryson there. I think his name was Bryson. Just kidding. We had a joke where I'd ask his name like way too many times, and he kept baiting me into asking my name, and I kept forgetting, so I'm very gullible. But shout out to Bryson. We had a great match. He was on a Hantu Blue 30. And our game 1, I thought I had it in the bag, because I went Luke on 6, into Luke, into Crate, into Bow. But he had fell, yes, all 3 fells, then his own Crate into Bow, or no, Bow into Crate, excuse me. But yeah, so that was lost that game 1, but then game 2 and 3, I won the race in game 2 thanks to Aggressive Negotiations. So shout out to my teammates who got me to put that card back in. And then game 3, I think it was just rough when I had Grogu into his Cassian. So that was where I got that match 2-1. So now going into round 5 of 4-0, I played Gil from Padawan Unlimited. Shout out to Gil and his channel. Love his content he makes. And on Han1 Green. And yeah, I think in game 1, I think he really needed to see, didn't see any pilots. If he had early Chewie pilot, I had no answer. I had no entrenched. I had no anything, you know, Force Lightning or whatever. That would have won the game, but he had space units with no pilots, so I was able to stabilize and win that game. And then I believe in game 2, he did get the Chewie down, but I had a Poe that he couldn't answer. That Poe then popped to the Chewie. So I was able to win that one 2-0. And now going into round 6, basically, you know, winning in for day 2 already against Cameron on Hantu Data Vault this time, which I felt okay with the matchup, because I know that they don't have the hard removal like I do for Crate Dragons. But kind of like a Yoda deck, I need to win it before it goes too late because of the home ones and the Kellerans and whatnot. So, and against Cameron, I think game 1 I had just the Dream Curve, I think including a double Anakin proc, if I remember correctly, and it was a pretty swift victory. Game 2 was much more back and forth. I think I had the Crate, and I was able to sequence things to get initiative going into the 8 resource turn to slam the first Crate. Never really got a good answer. He's able to push me to like 20, 23, 24 damage. So it got a bit spooky, especially when he played a home 1, cheated out. But I was able to answer that with a Force Lightning and then keep the board clear. I did claim early once or twice to keep the Crate alive and defend the swings, or stop the swings, I should say. And able to win that one, and 6-0, folks. So let's take a quick pause. the highs and highs of TCGs. I was on cloud 9. I actually had to take a walk because I was so excited. Like I had to like calm myself down. Typically it's the opposite, right? Typically I get tilted or I'm upset. And I have to kind of bring myself back up to even keel. This time it was the opposite. I was like really hype, took a walk, relished the feeling, enjoyed it, but then I had to lock back in because I knew I was in day 2, but really we still had 6 more rounds. That I was only halfway through the tournament, so I had to lock back in, and I did. I was proud of myself for resetting and getting into a good mental space. But then around 7, I played Sean, also from the Fallen Order team, on Hantu ECL, and yeah, I think game 1 I got steamrolled pretty quick. You know, the early Amidala and then the space units going wide, just couldn't deal with it. Game 2, much more of a grinder. At one point, I had to make a weird play where I sacked like 2 units into his Poe, including my leader and an itinerant warrior, and had to do that because I couldn't afford. I only had a Luke in hand. I had to have Han die so that I could get Luke out on 6 resources, which I did. And sticking that Luke was the difference in the game because I was able to stabilize and close that one out. Going to a game 3, where I think my biggest mistake of the whole weekend was in game 3. My opening hand, I had Namek and then 2 itinerant warriors and I believe an Anakin. And I decided I was just gonna race. And the mistake I made was just locking into the race plan in the mulligan. I just locked into it and never really reevaluated it because he played Grogu. I still was like, oh, I can still race down Grogu. But that was the mistake, folks. I should have controlled the board. I should have killed that Grogu. Who knows what would have happened because he cheated out Poe and healed it, cheated out Wrecker and healed it. And it wasn't, I just couldn't overcome that. Yeah, and at one point, the very, very end, I could have top decked Aggressive Negotiations for lethal as a single out for exact lethal, but I didn't get it, and I dropped a game, so I was down to 6-1. Still feeling fine. You know, I was 4 6-0s. You know, there's at that point, so now I was still in a great spot. Then I played Curtis from Utah, or one of the Han 1 Yellow fanatics in round 8, and yeah, I think I got lucky even to take a game because he played 6 Cunnings in 3 games. That's just like, that alone is just like really, really hard to overcome, right? So, despite all that and like his like really low to the ground fast version of the deck, I couldn't take it and lost 2-1. And so it's kind of a deflating way to end the day. So now talking about the lows of TCG tournaments, like getting a bit low, but at the end of the day, I was able to process and like I can feel both things. I can be both really excited to make day 2 and be 6-0. That's for the first 6 rounds, and a little disappointed with the last dropping the last 2 rounds, and that's okay. So went back to the Airbnb. We got some food. I reset myself and was excited for day 2. And I knew that back in the Portland sector, I was X2 going to day 2 and won out 4 matches to make top 8. So I was like, we did it once, so we can do it. But one game at a time. One game at a time, folks. Especially these big tournaments, even at PQ, you got to take it one game at a time. That's the one thing I hammer home all the time because it's easy to get lost thinking like, okay, I have to win 4 straight, blah, blah, blah. But like really just the one game at a time. So, but I sat down and played against Andrew on Palp 6 Data Vault, and I was like, okay, it's not my favorite matchup, but it's winnable. It's not like it's awful. But yeah, made a slight misplay there when, excuse me, I was pushing damage, got him to like 20-25, and going into the blast turn, I sacked my Owen for no good reason. When I had an Anakin in hand, I didn't need to sack him. Draw 5 cards. I see all my crate dragons go to the bottom of the deck. Oof, I tried to keep my poker face. I didn't make a reaction, but in my head, I was just like, internal screaming, like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, I probably have a good chance. I'm not gonna say I guarantee I win that game, but I have definitely a great chance of winning it if I can drop crate into crate. He said he had fells, but like it's still 8 damage, so wasn't able to push the damage. He blasted into like triple vigilance to heal 15 and mill 18. It was just over. Game 2, I cited 10 cards in, but still didn't see. I still missed a whiffed on turn 1, and then couldn't put any pressure on, and it was just over. It was like totally not even contested. And yeah, it was a real bad start to the day. Like after going in like determined to win 4 straight, just losing the first one poorly, like 0-2, not even close. It was just felt bad. It felt bad. But again, I was still playing day 2, so I'm keeping things in perspective. I'm like, okay, we can win out and make top 16. Let's go with that. Let's go for that. Back to the one game at a time. And then I played Maya. We were staying at the Airbnb together he's from the Colorado Cantina crew on Palp 1 Yellow. So now it's truly my first really bad matchup of the weekend, and it's against a buddy, so it wasn't as tilting, but it still was a rough match. Like, I think in game one, I checked I saw like one crate that he grinned out, I think, or something like that. And then at the end of the game, bottom two cards were two crate dragons. Or maybe that was either way. I can't remember which game that was, but yeah, it was one of the games. Was bottom two cards were two crate dragons when I was pushing him to like 20, 22 damage, and like he already had flipped, so I could just slam a crate. Yeah, that was just a bad bad feeling. And game two was just rough. He went like Bazine, Garindin, McClunky Bazine or something like that. So I just had like no good curve. Just a rough matchup, especially when they see the cards they need to see. So yeah, that finished 4 straight losses after the 6-0 start. So talking about like the highs and highs and the lows of the lows. It was rough. It was rough, but you know what? It's still like I processed it and let myself feel the feelings. I did a walk outside. We're in Arizona playing Star Wars cards all weekend. I'm not upset. I'm not upset. You know, I can be a little disappointed. That's okay, but I was still in a very, very fortunate position. And in the last 2 rounds, I played Armando and Josh, 2 different Sabi Tarkin towns, for a second and third iteration of that matchup for the weekend, and took both those down. I think, was it both? Let me see. I can't remember. Both were 2-0. I think both were 2-0. Because I think I had a bunch of Grogu starts, and they only saw Darren Raid in one of them. And even in one game, I had like Grogu, Yaddle, and Owen in my opening hand, and in the trench. So it's just like everything they could have, I had an answer. And when that ended on a great note, and then finished 25th out of 342, way up there. And yeah, like overall, super super stoked. There's that slight disappointment that I didn't get top 8, but I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I didn't get top 8. It was a terrible weekend. No, absolutely not, folks. It was a great, amazing weekend. Great run. All my opponents were great. The matches were great. I had a blast doing it. Learned a bunch. And yeah, speaking of learning a bunch, let's get into the lessons learned next. So like I said, let's talk about the lessons learned, because that to me is the most valuable thing on these events and these tournaments is learning from it. You know, even like I learn in wins, but especially learning in my losses. So I think I have 4 main ones to talk about. Most of them I already kind of touched on, but the first one is just managing my emotions. Like I've known about, especially for myself, especially from my own experience, I can get tilted pretty bad, especially after a misplay or if I get really unlucky, like the 2 crates on the bottom of the deck, like I talked about. But also be able to manage, I think, the really positive emotions. Like I said, like when I was 6-0 on top of the world, I had to manage that, because if I went too into, if I wasn't, calmed down for round 7, I for sure would have, performed more poorly if I'm like not in the right headspace. So, for myself, I'll probably make another video, but I have a whole routine for when I get tilted or need to manage my emotions. But it's just taking a walk, taking some deep breaths, taking a walk, listening to some music, some particular songs I really like, and resetting myself, because I think it's under talked about or underappreciated how much the mental side of playing Star Wars Unlimited matters. Like it's not just the draws and the plays. Like you should be in the right headspace to do it, and it's hard to quantify that, so it's difficult. But that was the big one, or one of the big ones. The second one, I think, against the Hantu ECL against Sean. Not locking into a game plan too early, like especially these matchups where it's not clear cut who's the beatdown versus control. I need to be a little more flexible there, which I usually am pretty good about, but just reinforcing that lesson to myself of like making sure I'm constantly evaluating the game plan and not just locking into it blindly. And because I got to the point where I was like, once he had a full health Poe down, I just couldn't change the board control plan. I had to just keep going face, and I just knew I could just feel the sand running out of the timer and like the life running out. So that was a good lesson learned. Another one for me I mentioned already is the Owen sack I did, killing Owen off and then getting the crates to the bottom. Yes, I couldn't have known all my crates were in the top 5, but I think overall I think the lesson there is just being a little more intentional with some of my actions. Like I didn't stop to ask, like, do I really need this card draw here, or should I wait till after the Super Laser Blast so it happens? So that's one little lesson there. Just like I said, I think the word intentional, I'll say it again, is a good one. That's really important. And then lastly, for these matchups like Ham1 Yellow, where I didn't really have a sideboard plan, I think taking like a minute or two to like be a little more I guess I don't want to use the word intentional again, but like be a little more conscientious of like, okay, not just like, for example, I'll just illustrate through an example. Against Curtis's Ham1 Yellow, I put in Champs and Dula and Nemix and took out my healing in Yaddle and Owen. And I was just thinking that, I don't know what I was thinking. That was the problem. I wasn't thinking enough. I wasn't thinking through, okay, Curtis's deck plays really low to the ground. It's very fast. It's got a lot of pilots and stuff like that. So I really need the healing in that matchup, and Yael's great into facing your friends because it kills a spy and negates one of the high spy swings, right? So I think just like when I don't have a good plan for my sideboard and that kind of thing, being a little more thoughtful is the word I guess the better word to use on what I'm doing. But those are the main lessons learned. I learned a lot. Obviously there are a lot of minute ones too, but those are the biggest ones that I'm taking away from it. I'm gonna bring with me because yeah, moving ahead, I have a PQ on Saturday in Madison, Wisconsin. It's gonna be live streamed. I'm going the following weekend to a limited PQ in Seattle. If you're going to Zulus there in Bothell. And then in a month or so, we have the regional in Milwaukee. And I hope you're coming. Come find me if I haven't met you yet. And I'm really excited for that. So that's it, folks. That's it for this video. Quickly do a couple of shout outs. I'm going to shout out to Jordan and all of the Colorado Cantina crew guys who organized the Airbnb and we stayed together. And John from my team from Late Night's competitive team coming out with me to Arizona. Had a great time with all of them. Getting our deck list finalized on Friday and all the hangouts we have to do at the Airbnb, including my one plunge into the cold pool. But I had a great time with them. Yeah, shout out to, like I said, all my opponents. I had a great time playing against every one of them and really enjoyed that. That's why I love physical TCGs. You get that face-to-face human interaction. I love it. To me, it's a big part of why I love playing this game is this community. So, and yeah, speaking of the community, like everyone who came up to me and said hi, said they loved my streams or the content, that meant so much to me. I really, really mean it, and I appreciated that so much. You don't even know. Like, that to me was better than the 6-0 star, better than the 25th place finish. Like, like, I don't do it for that. Obviously, I don't do this stuff for that, but like that was just really gratifying. So I really appreciate everyone. Too many names to name. So that was really awesome. And lastly, shout out to Eric or Kier or Kyer, I forgot how you say your channel name, who bubbled out at 9th as X21 on our Hantu blue deck. I say R, not that his list is the same as mine, but like with the same deck as me. Check out his channel. I'll link it below. And yeah, overall, amazing weekend. Had a great time, and I'm sad I can't go back to escape this Milwaukee weather, but that's gonna be it. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.